want to do it while they're walking and driving and doing the dishes and all the things. So like audio is the ultimate medium for infertility.
Welcome back to another episode of Launch Your Private Podcast. Today we have Dani Sheriff, founder of the HA Society, who has added private podcasts to all aspects of her business to add more value, even more value to her private clients and her members. Dani, welcome. It's so great to have you here.
Thanks for having me. I've been with you guys for like years now, so this is fun.
Yay.
One of the OGs.
We love an OG. Yeah.
Right. Love it. Why don't we kick off by having you just give an overview of your business? It'll just help the listeners get acquainted with kind of your business model, how you help people, some of your offers, that kind of stuff.
Yeah. So it's the HA Society. HA stands for hypothalamic amenorrhea. We don't need to say it again. We can just say HA. But what it is when women lose their menstrual cycle, right, due to chronic exercise and dieting.
Oh, wow.
It's like a very first world lady problem that I help ladies with. And it was a problem I had. It was very stressful. It's essentially a niche fertility problem, right? And I got through my journey with it and there was no support anywhere on the internet. Like I just struggled through this thing on my own, got to the end and was like, oh my gosh, there's a gap in a market somewhere. Like, let's go. Because I've always wanted to have an online business of some kind and I never had a good idea. So like, that's actually the origin. And so I started a podcast, like a public podcast, the Hypothalamic Amenorrhea podcast, full name, the whole thing, still there, still going. And that like really helped me build an online community, right? Like I was attracting all these women because this was a issue that didn't have much help. And then my next step was like monetizing them. Like, let's build a business, right? So I have an audience, let's build a business. So I started a community, a membership community, and brought all of these women in. So that's essentially what it began as. Now it eventually grew into a coaching practice and I went back to school and I, got qualified to deal with this issue. But at the time, that's how it started. And I added on a coaching practice and then like fast forward, because this is important. Later, my business partner who eventually joined me and I started a whole certification, like a proper full-on accredited certification course. So we have like memberships, clients, students, right? And so that's what we do. We help people get it back, teach people to help people to get it back, and support all of the women.
So you're like the go-to in this space for sure.
The person, the people, I like to think so.
Yeah. Living the dream over here. That's the dream for a business owner. No, but I love that. You saw a gap in the market. It's something that happened to you. I mean, we know this story and we love it. That's like us too. We were both like coaches and entrepreneurs and course creators. And then it was just like, I saw this, like, why can't we just listen to this, thing? And it's like, I would like to build that, right?
Yes.
So and that's really cool.
This is the type of issue that women, it's not like it's something you go to Instagram for. Like this is the type of problem that women want long form content and they want to do it while they're walking and driving and doing the dishes and all the things. So like audio is the ultimate medium for infertility.
Yes. We were just saying as we were like reviewing, your onboarding stuff too, is we've had several fertility, people dealing with loss and grief, whether that's related to birth or not. And it's true. It's something, it's very personal. And so it's like that lends to like a health issue being like, I want to really know who's like teaching this. I usually like there's like a deep desire to like solve this problem. And so that like exactly what you said, long form, it's not a hack that they're going to see on TikTok. This is like life, right? Probably life altering stuff. They have to change diet, habits, all the things. And so they need a trustworthy guide to do that. Okay. Love this. So we're going to talk a little bit about how you found private podcasting. So this sounds like it's been quite a journey for you. And you kind of mentioned in onboarding and stuff that you didn't originally include private podcasts. So tell us a little bit about that.
Yeah. I mean, like anything, you start it thinking it'll be one way, but then you got to pivot and change a bunch, right? So I opened it and the idea was, and still is, right? Like getting together for live group calls to like support through things. And I would host them, multiple times a week. And I still do, but I would post just like the Zoom replay into the group, And that's kind of just like a clunky way of doing things right? But I was just doing that for ages and was experiencing a churn rate in the membership. And like we have, some mini courses and we would bring live practitioners in, do presentations, all the great stuff. And people could message me through the DMs. And like also side note for anyone doing a membership, like I don't think it's smart to have too many features, right? People are just like, I'm not using all of this, I'm going to cancel, right? So I like to keep things, I want everyone to feel like they're maximizing it, right? Not like they're missing out. Yes. So I was like, how do I add value without just like adding shit that makes people feel like it's another thing they need to do? And I realized that like realistically, my membership numbers were much higher than my live call turnout numbers. So like people don't want to come to live calls and people are watching the replays, but it's like so-so. And it was actually someone else's idea entirely while I was brainstorming this. And they were like, it was a dude who was like,
hence the dude voice.
Yeah, the dude.
Great.
He was in someone's Patreon. He was like, I'm like a member of this Patreon group and we get access to the unedited episodes of their podcast, right? Like, so like, no ads and stuff if they pay. And I was like, I don't really want to like do extra episodes. Like I'm tired, And then I was like, oh, what if I just reuse my content? Super smart. And I just give everyone early access to my current podcast and I don't have to edit it. It's like, oh, it's uncut, but like, actually that just means I don't have to do work. It's like so smart. And they get it early. And what if I put all of the replays for all of our community calls on? That's like, just like a podcast. It's all it is a podcast. And all these people just want to listen to more and consume more and more through audio, which is how they found me. So that makes sense. So I had heard the Hello Audio story on, I want to say it was like Amy Porterfield or something like that, potentially. I don't know if y'all were even on that show.
I haven't been, but Amy, if you're listening.
Yeah, I think she talked about Hello, or maybe
she definitely talked about Hello Audio, but I'm trying to remember who else. I've been around, but Amy
you told the story on someone's show, but I don't remember whose it was. And ages before. And I was like, oh, that's a cool app. Like, I don't need it, right? At the time. And then this idea, and so that was the only one I knew, and it made sense to me. So I just like did it, and it was so good because I already had all the content. I was already making podcasts. I was like, it meant no extra work.
Yes.
And I was running everything through Mighty Networks, and so you guys had a Zapier integration. Praise it. So I was able to automate the whole onboarding process of that as well, which was really good. And that's like been rolling for years now.
Oh, I love it. So I think there's something here that could be helpful to people. So what is it like? What decisions did you make as a business owner to decide to add it? And like, how did you execute that addition? Because there's some stuff here like, how did you tell your current members about it? Where did you put it in your site? How easy it was for them to get it. And then, of course, their response into getting it, especially those like first people. And then when it's like always a part of something, that looks a little different. But I think a lot of people get hung up in like, how do I give this to my thousands of people or my members and my community? And it seems a little overwhelming. So if you could maybe walk us through that kind of thought process.
Totally. Because it's like what I do best, actually.
Oh, good. Okay.
I was like, if I didn't have to be the face of a company, I would just like back end stuff all day.
System stuff. Okay.
I love it. So I set it up first and tested it, made sure it worked. Very important.
Very important.
First step.
Test on your own email address.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, it's like, oh my gosh. Because it definitely wasn't, I'd say it was a 5 out of 10 on the pain scale to get set up, which is like fair, right?
Yeah.
It's new technology. And I just implemented it and uploaded everything and then announced to everyone that this is how it's going to be. And I posted that in my networks and I sent an email and I had to obviously manually add all of my existing members in at the time, but it was pretty smooth. Like it was exciting for people. Like they could get it on their phone now. Right? They don't have to log into the app and then click and then open Zoom on their phone and like have it pause and disappear when someone called them. because it was playing through Apple Podcasts or whatever. So like I basically explained that. I was like, you're going to be able to listen to this on your Apple Podcast, just like you do the HA podcast. It's going to be awesome. And so the buy-in for that was pretty immediate. And all I had to do for like a week was answer a couple people, who might be having trouble like resending their invite or whatever. But it was actually pretty low pain to announce. And I have a system, if anyone's struggling to access it. And actually over time, I've made it more and more simple for myself. But that's, like it's not that hard. I think anyone saying, you guys, nothing is actually that hard. Anyone saying, oh, how do I implement this to my 1,000 followers? Stop. Like I get it, but you're going to have some people, but like there's always people who are going to complain about
with almost
your stuff.
any. Yes.
Yeah. There's always human error. Yeah.
There's always human error or just people who like it the old way. But for the most part, like who would prefer any other way than through your podcast?
That's what we like to think, right? Like who would have bought this?
Yes, please. Yeah.
Yeah. I think it was I didn't have a single complaint actually. Just people being like, I can't get my email.
Yeah. I mean, we weren't even planning on talking about this, but since you're a systems person, and we don't have to go into like deep detail, but what did you create for your internal process for people not either saying they weren't getting it or it wasn't opening on their player? You kind of alluded to like you came up with a way to do it. Is it a ticket submitting thing or what are you guys doing to help people?
Yeah, they just submit a ticket through our Mighty network and it just like appears in our Asana as a to-do item.
Oh, perfect.
And we just get together with them and resend.
Perfect. Yes, because we are, just so you know, we're working on making this troubleshooting easier for listeners. So we're working on this like big kind of system that is broken down by apps because all apps behave differently and it's a whole thing. And so it's a guide that people can share with people getting stuck. So a little bit of just research for me mentally as we're like looking on rolling that out.
That makes sense. Because I would sometimes run into issues when a new member joins just because it's through Zapier and so just like every now and then, someone's not getting their invite. Sure. And I make sure like I have multiple checkpoints throughout for new members so that they know this is a feature that exists. So if they did not get it, do please tell me, But when we started the course, I decided the course has much lower volume of members. And so I just like honestly couldn't be bothered setting up an automation. So what I did was just because Hello Audio allows for people, you can send them a manual page where they type in their own name and email. So I just made it automatically direct to that when they are onboarding and they do it themselves. And that removes a lot of tech glitch bug type errors.
Yes, because Zapier can be finicky. You can't trust it 100% in anybody's business. So so thinking about that, using the Hello Audio subscribe page or the sign up page, I should say, as a way that you send after they purchase.
Yeah, because you can just make like a free one and then they get it for free because they already paid me.
Yeah, I love that. And I think there's someone else I was saying that did that too. They have a button in their membership site or in their course that if they want the podcast version, rather than sending it automatically, they do that too. Okay, cool. Very cool.
I'm curious what their response was. In addition to, I mean, obviously people knew you because of your public podcast, so they're probably familiar with listening, but maybe not everyone is familiar with, some people aren't avid podcast listeners or it's not as common with some folks, but I'm curious what responses you got, especially, and the reason I'm thinking about this is with the membership, we know churn is a big deal with memberships and part of what's tied to churn is consumption. And so, allowing people, essentially making it easier for people to consume that content. I'm curious if you got the responses or if you've seen any difference from a churn perspective. You may not have exact numbers, but I'm just curious what the response was, both in terms of what they said to you, but also in the retention piece of it as well.
Yeah. So now we have maybe like a 1% churn rate.
Wow.
Situation. It's very, very low.
For like a consumer-based membership. And it's monthly or they can pay annual or...
There's a few different and there's some lifetimers in there. Like if you work one-on-one with me, you just kind of get it for life. as a part of the package,
nice.
but so they can't unsubscribe. So technically,
force them in. Yeah, no, but that's important to note. I like that.
Yeah, but everyone else is monthly. Everyone else is monthly, and yeah, the churn rate is pretty low. And I really think because that was the problem I was trying to solve, right?
Yeah,
and that was the only change I made. Right, I got rid of some things to tidy
that
stuff
might help
up
too.
but then that's what I added. And the feedback is basically like, hey, Dani, I know I haven't come to any of the calls, but I do listen to all of the replays, right? And so like the people are getting their support and because when they go through this particular health issue, they just like totally immerse themselves in it. And there is not enough content for someone who is obsessing about this issue. Like it's crazy. Because I'm also on YouTube and they're just like, they're doing the YouTube podcast. Remember it?
They're binging you. Yeah.
They're binging. And which is like creepy to think about. Not like they're creeping me out, but just the idea that my voice is in everyone's ear all day. It's stressing me out. But that's what's happening. And so I really do think that they just listen to it. It's just on their regular playlist and they have certain people who host calls because I have different people host them, you know? They have their people that they like and it just keeps them focused. So I think that I think it's the main thing because like honestly, there would be no value if you can't come to the live calls.
Yeah. That's how you position. Yeah, I see that. And you know, we like live too. There is something really magical about listening to other people who have a similar experience or issue that they're trying to fix or solve or problem they're trying to solve. And then like, you know, because we are so close to our own shit, right, in our heads. But then like listening to someone else, you're like, oh, that's actually what I think too. Or like, I didn't realize, you know, X, Y, Z,
I had
that mindset.
No idea.
Yeah.
Even though it was like my whole idea and I set it up and made a business, I had no idea that people needed that much, like actually were benefiting that much from getting together with other people and chatting about it. That was really cool. Like it keeps people who I don't actually interact with that much in the community. They're more like silent, right? But silent listeners, but then they'll get their period back. Their missing period comes back and then they message me and they're just like, I couldn't have done it without the community. And I was like, you were in the community? You know? But they were because they were listening every day and they knew like there's certain people, you know, that come to the live calls more often and they're getting to know them and they're following along with the journey and they're feeling more connected with the community, even though they can't be at every call or they're too like socially anxious to be at every call. That's like the other thing is some people just like, it's a fundamental nut, right?
Yeah.
They're too scared, but they're benefiting from listening into the conversation.
That's huge.
Yeah. Do you use it on the sales side too as a way to combat that objection of like, well, that time's not going to work for me, or I know myself that I'm not showing up to live calls? Do you let people know ahead of time that that's a consumption option as a way to help with conversions?
Look, someone could audit my stuff and say I'm not doing that. But I feel like I am doing that because actually when I go through our membership site, like sales page, I'd say it's a primary feature that I'm saying live calls, number one. Private podcast playlist where like you get all the replays and all of our episodes in advance and yada, yada is probably feature number two, right? That like some people I think see that as number one. Because and I'll say in a couple places, right, like don't want to show up live, no worries, you can come here. That's the thing, I don't market it. It's just I market our coaching, like I market working with us in general, and then people can come to our website and choose how they want to do that. So it's really just like on the website. But I'd say I make sure people know because I feel like if they found me through audio, they want more audio.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it's an always open membership. It's like there's no launches that you do or anything like that.
I used to do launches, but now it's just evergreen.
Nice.
Yeah. Which that makes sense for something like this because when you have that problem, it's not I'm going to wait 6 months to find help or when that next launch window is. It's that I want to understand now.
No, girls be procrastinating on this all the time. Like that, I actually battle that a lot sometimes where if we were launching, and we do a group program where we launch, right? And it is helpful to tell these women, because what you're like maybe don't understand yet about HA is it's like on the disordered eating spectrum of a problem, meaning it's kind of an obsessive compulsion, meaning they don't want to change it. Like I sell periods to women. Think about how insane that is.
Yeah, like no one actually wants it.
Yeah.
That's actually
I am
interesting.
That's a great reframe.
I'm potentially one of the best salesmen in the world. when you think about it, no one wants what I'm selling. So I'm selling, like that was a problem with the gap in the market.
Which is that why you flipped it to infertility? Or
yes. So we originally were like, get your period back. It's important. And people were like,
nah, I'm good. Yeah. I'm happy without it. Thanks.
Yeah. Like,
unless you are, unless it becomes
because it's not a painful problem. It's actually pretty convenient. You do become neurotic and awful to your husband. And
there's other hormonal things happening
as
a result of that.
Yeah. Your life is not good, but you can't see it. Like you're crazy. And so they actually are not in very much pain. So we actually made the flip, not even to infertility, but like get a baby. We sell babies now. But a lot of like still 40% or so of our clients are coming just to get their period back, but we skew more fertility to fertility for this niche specific problem that's where babies are where money is.
Yeah. This is a good messaging little convo here.
Yeah.
Nora, on our coaching calls, we tend to talk a lot about like positioning, messaging and stuff. So you've been through it. You clearly understand your people because you are your people too, right? And so then you're able to share and sell in a way that is attracting the people that need help now or thinking now, okay, this is a problem that needs to be solved now.
Yeah.
I think that's great. I love the reframe. This is a really important message too for anyone that's listening that's wondering about positioning. It's the broader brand positioning and then also the way you're positioning the private podcast as one of the tools and assets to help solve the problem that they have at hand, where maybe a vehicle isn't accessible to them. Like a live call may not be accessible to everyone because of time zones, because of work schedules, because of social anxiety, like what you mentioned, whatever that looks like. I think that you've done some really great positioning in the overall customer conversation for them to really engage at each and every point. I think that's fascinating. And you're right, the angle with infertility is the biggest pain point or the biggest currency, I guess, if you think about that, like that, it's like, why would you want your period back? Because I am trying to have a baby. Like that actually is because there is an outcome that they want that is dependent on getting it back.
It's tangible. It has external validation from others. Like to get your period back is important because osteoporosis, and things like this. But until you have the osteoporosis, like you're not scared enough to do it. And women like live in just, well, it's not going to happen to me. So they won't take.
And historically, women aren't very good at getting help with their health.
Yeah, because it's do not even like this is your health, but because it's not tied to something that they can get praise for, it's very hard to do. Which like we actually don't realize is so important to us. It's so subconscious. It's so primal. Like we want acceptance. We want safety. We want worth. We want value. Me spending this money to get my period back and potentially have to gain weight and lose some like athletic abilities or whatever is their thing is like extremely scary to someone because they think they're putting their whole life on hold. It's a tough space sometimes.
Yeah. The trade-off has to be bigger than the inconvenience of, and getting a baby is absolutely like that big trade-off. If you're trying to have a child, like, the positioning like, there is
so totally by no, like, it was not my goal, but there's so many babies in the world with my help. Which is so cool. That
must be really fulfilling. Yeah.
That is really cool. It's like anytime I feel bad or shame about something that I did, I'm like, I've helped many families. Going to heaven.
Yeah. I love this too. It's a very, like you said, a very clear result. Either it's a baby or a period that does come back after doing work. That's so great for your community. And I see why community is such an important part of this and just like what you teach and how you coach. But it's like this group of people coming together, getting through it together and like being able to share those kind of wins are huge, huge.
Yeah, totally. It's inspiring for them. It motivates them. It gives them hope, keeps them going. It's their opportunity to celebrate something that would be weird for them to tell their friends and family.
To other people and get praise for.
I mean, personally, I walk around with this like all the time, but not everyone is as outspoken about it as me.
Yes. I wonder, so you use it on all your courses and memberships. Are you thinking about using this in any way like lead gen wise? Because I could see this working for you in that. Like, do you have an idea maybe of a private podcast you haven't launched yet?
It doesn't not cross my mind. It's definitely, I'm like, just why don't you just double down on what works? You know what I mean? And I could probably do like a free mini course and people will be signing up. Here's the thing that this is a weird situation I'm in. I don't have a problem getting emails. When I go through our email list, every single person on it has opted into every single thing that we have. Like this is how hungry these people are for information. So it would probably for me make more sense as converting existing leads, because my problem actually is finding leads, new ones. So I do have issues getting new emails, but because I'm struggling a little bit to broaden our net of who we talk to. But certainly if I wanted to get the emails of people who are already in our sphere, it's very easy for me to get them immediately, right?
That makes sense.
They can listen to episode 1 and they'll go for whatever lead generator I pitch to them. And then the next one. But it's like, how do I get people from outside of our community? Do you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And that's where I struggle the most. And so I have enough lead generators at the moment, if I'm honest. And so I feel like making a new one it feels like me just sitting in my comfort zone a little bit. But that could be a story.
Yeah. I'm wondering if it's like, we just had a guest that's I don't know when the episodes are going to relate to each other, but talking about nurturing people on the current list is also really important. And so it's like a middle of the funnel game that you're playing. Is that what that's called, Nora? No, that's not middle of the funnel. It is. Okay. So people that know they have a problem and they're getting the information, but now maybe they don't know, or they have a story in their head about why not coaching or the membership or whatever services you offer are something that they possibly don't need right now.
Yeah.
And so that's interesting. Do you have any content that's around that, where
that's like
they already know they have the problem, but they don't need to, and they might even know that you are going to solve it, but they don't think they need your coaching or your membership.
Oh yeah. And no one they're all like, I can do this on my own.
I can do this on my own.
Yeah. So we have a 7-day challenge, which is like a video thing, which I help them get set up, kind of like the prerequisites, right? Just like day 1, you've just found out you have this problem, you want to make changes. Over the week, here's everywhere you need to look. And then people tend to like that. And that gets them primed. And then they kind of hang out for a bit, try and do it themselves and either do or don't get results. I think that the way we nurture people is honestly just continuing to put content out. And always we interview our clients, obviously, who have had success stories. We're tying in case studies and, mentioning more coaches, this is what we do. And we have a webinar. We do all the little bits and bobs. So I'd have to have a marketing expert come in and tell me where each thing falls in the nurture process.
Sure.
But we do a good job for sure. Is it as strategic as it could be? Probably not.
I mean, we all have things we could tweak for sure.
Yeah.
I think
There's
always ongoing. Yeah.
I wonder, I could see on the lead gen side, specific messaging to younger women who have this problem, but they don't feel a sense of urgency to fix it because they don't understand the consequences and they don't understand their future selves. We always talked about your future self, and it's oh, that's a future problem. That's a future me problem. And I wonder if there's some level of education and awareness about the cost of not, the future cost that could be impactful. Now, I know for some young, let's just take, I mean, granted, it's been a hot minute since I've been like in my 20s, right? So just thinking like if someone would have shared some of that information with me about, osteoporosis, about, having difficulty having kids, knowing that was a plan, right? That was like something I wanted in my 20s, like that I maybe wouldn't have struggled as much if I would have known some things like, or before I had the bone scans or like before the osteoporosis became like a scary word. I think that could be interesting to create a level of awareness with women who aren't being told these things at their annual appointments, right? I think that's something that could be interesting. I also think a demonstration asset that leads to the coaching. So I think something that talks about the benefits of coaching, the structure of the coaching program, sharing stories. Like we had, granted, now we have this podcast, but before we had this public podcast, we had our success story podcast where we had users share in their own words, like their story of like what changed for them. And I think that's always really powerful when other women share their stories. So that, putting some of their stories in that private podcast, that could be an interesting conversion tool for the coaching. Just to give like a sample slice of it and to understand the structure of it so that why does someone want to invest in a coaching program? Because there's a need, sure, and they understand the benefits of it, but they need to believe it's doable. They need to believe that there's the probability of success is high for them, which is belief in themselves, belief in your process, belief in you and your brand, like belief in their ability to follow through, like all of these things. So I think there are probably assets along the way where doing, and granted, I know for us, private podcast feels the easiest way to get that content out, even if it already exists, to put it in an asset or in a container that feels easy to get out and then also easy to consume. I could see that being beneficial in both of those front end and, middle of funnel conversion tool kind of way.
Absolutely. Yeah. I mean, they'll sign up for it for sure. And they'll like listen in depth.
Yeah.
And we have a video-based evergreen webinar that covers those things, but it's also possible that like they're not in the moment in a position to sit down and watch that. Right. Whereas like the podcast, you download it and then you keep it on your phone and it's in your next up. All right. Yeah. It's going to play. And I really like that idea for our certification because that's one of the things is like, well, can I build a business out of this?
Yeah.
Like, what is this made up job?
My guess is it's a higher investment too, right?
They're actually pretty similar, honestly.
Okay.
Yeah, honestly, pretty similar. But there's like, I don't want to do it. There's even less self-belief, right? For women who are ability to do online business. So I could see us being like, here's case studies of businesses.
Yes.
Here's how we did it, right? Like, and then have that funnel them into, because they're so uncertain and we really don't do a lot of nurture at this time on the certification
for that.
So I actually feel that would be a solid lead gen for lead gen and nurture. Like I just give them all the answers to their questions so then they just feel confident.
That's it. It's an info session in a private podcast is what that would be. Yes.
In like a casual setting that makes it feel more genuine and trustworthy.
Yes. Yeah, I could see that being really effective. And you're right, there is a lot of beliefs because you're really passionate. Usually when you become any coaching business, you become a coach because you're passionate about the topic. You're passionate about the transformation, whether you did it, whether, it affected someone in your family. Usually there's a story behind it. And you're not like, a lot of those people are not like, yeah, I'm really passionate about getting leads. That sounds like it sucks, right? Or like, I'm not passionate about the financial pieces of it.
Or
like
social
it's
media.
so, oh God, social media, the bane of everyone's existence. So I think that for a lot of people, it's like they don't look forward to that piece of it. And it feels like that part feels so insurmountable. And I think that a private podcast content could help navigate through that noise. And that perceived noise, because everyone has misconceptions and misbeliefs about what it really takes to like, oh, I've got to show up online and I've got to dance on TikTok. And like, that's a lot of really crazy misconceptions out there about it. And I think that establishing that belief that they can do it on their own terms and that it doesn't have to be complicated, that it can be simple, that you do have a proven system to take people through it, that people have been successful, listen to X, Y, and Z. That could be a very effective conversion tool for certification for sure.
Yeah. No, we'll have to play with that idea. I like it.
Not to give you more work, but I do
Not to
think
keep
we can-
going. We tend to
That's
do
like-
that on these calls.
I'm like my physical reaction anytime someone's like, let's do it, but that's the job,
This is
Yes.
what we signed up
you
for.
know?
Yeah.
And I do
That's true.
love that stuff too. Honestly, I actually, if it was like, hey, Dani, do you want to meet with a bunch of clients today? Or do you want to go make a lead generator? I'd actually choose the lead generator. It's just like you have to do your clients. And so then you're tired. But
Yeah,
that's
it's a lot. We give a lot coaching. Mm-hmm.
We do, but you wait till you're ovulating and then you have double the capacity for everything.
There you go. There you go.
Relaxing.
I don't know. At my age, it doesn't feel like I have double capacity. But, you know, and the other idea that I had too is I do think you could create a resource that, like, I'm thinking promotional partnerships like OBGYNs and folks that can refer content. Like they're looking, like, I'm thinking just create a shareable
Yes.
resource that, you know, these providers can share. And I do think there's something around that too, because that's when, I mean, how many times are women having this conversation? Not a lot. I mean,
Yes.
you know, when it does happen, not a ton, but that's one person, that's one provider that you would likely have that conversation with. And they could be like, oh, I've got a resource for you here. Like, this is something I can recommend.
Totally. Yeah, I love it. We have a third business, so like it doesn't have a podcast, so it wasn't relevant. But I've been thinking about, because it's a retail business, which is so hard to lead gen for. Like, oh my gosh, what do I do? And I've thought about actually a podcast about it to like talk all about the benefits of the particular product. And like, it's just, I haven't quite fully wrapped my head around the idea, but have you guys seen someone do it for a retail specific business?
Yeah. So it was Andrea Crowder specifically, but she doesn't sell her products anymore. But she had, basically it was called, oh gosh, what was it called? Freak, like frequency. And it was about, she sold like meditation mists and like candles and like stuff like that. And so she had a URL that you took a picture of that were on the products that then sent them kind of like a meditation or like something that went with it. So it was very like built into the product. But even since that, I've thought of examples, and I don't know if anyone's run with it and they just haven't told us, because sometimes people just go and do things, but behind the scenes of how a product is made, people care about that kind of stuff. They want to know the stories behind things. And so while we tend to go like super visual because it's all about like product images and stuff like that, you know what I mean? It's like, cool. And what about this like immersive part behind the scenes, or again, case studies, people talking about how they use it. So I don't know exactly what you sell, but I think there's something pretty magical where like there's interaction with it, where you're taking a picture of a URL or it gets sent in like
QR
the
code,
box
yeah.
and like that whole experience. And so I definitely think there's possibility there.
Yeah.
But Andrea's business was the one that I know of, and I can speak to that. She did exactly that. But then, there are ideas for other ways of doing it too.
Yeah.
The QR code is big. If you think about like a lot of e-com, they have QR codes for help documentation. I'm thinking like even phone cases, like you scan that
Coupons
thing and
and
you're
stuff.
like, here's a YouTube video about how to install that phone cover or whatever. And I think that there's a lot more that we can do to add value to e-commerce customers that, you know, that goes beyond just customer support. And that's where this could come into play.
But you did mention lead gen in particular. And I think, potentially, depending on what it was. Yeah.
Well, it's beef liver, by the way.
Oh, okay. So it's like a supplement.
It's in a beautiful jar thing.
Yep.
But like it has, you know, a lot of it because it's a vertical to our fertility practice, right? So it's something that we've recommended forever. So then we started the company, right? And I feel like it's very applicable to all kinds of health issues, and practitioners need to know more about it so that they can recommend it. And so,
so maybe it's like
educational.
Maybe you position the lead magnet for that as something like, it's like a mini course on why it's helpful and for what conditions it's helpful for. And like someone who's heard on a Facebook group that you should take it, right? But then is like, why? Like, I don't know this lady who's telling me to take it, right? So you know what I mean? It's like a way for people who want to do their research to possibly get that research in a podcast form versus something else.
Yeah.
Could be something shareable I think to Nora's
Yeah.
point, and lead magnets make the best. It's like, oh, this is like a private podcast that's like all about beef liver and how it works. And then you're like, cool. And then like you binge it and then it's like your product you're selling.
Yeah.
Sure, they could go buy it somewhere else, but like you're the person teaching people about it. That's interesting.
Yeah. The challenge of retail is like, but I like it. Okay.
And I know too, if you get it on Amazon, that's the whole thing with Amazon is you don't get email addresses of people that buy. And so that's where the QR code could be really powerful. I don't know if you end up selling or on Amazon but that's a struggle for those companies is that they don't give you the email address of your customer.
That is a challenge. But then like you're selling more anyway. It's such a conundrum. I'm not on Amazon yet, but we will eventually.
Sure.
This is the most boring story ever, so don't worry. But I am interested in this idea. Like it's something that we've thought about and like going through the research and, you know, even if people are just start researching about beef liver for a totally random reason and they come across the educational podcast for it. But yeah, that thing of like, you want to capture their emails. And if you went ahead and just made a public podcast about it, which sounds like a great idea because Google or whatever, but then they listen to the show and then how do you get their email? Now you need to create a new offer to get them interested.
Yes.
Or just convince them to buy your beef liver. But when they buy, they don't opt into your marketing. So it's like, you got to get them on via value and through their own choice. And that's why, a private playlist, basically
I think too,
gatekeeping.
Yeah. Well, and I'm sure a move, right, is like influencers and people online, right, are going to be potentially talking about the product. And so it would be cool if, you know, rather than the influencer not just saying like, oh, you should buy it because here's how it happened for me, but it's like, oh, you know, there's this educational resource that's really easy to binge really quickly. Like that's an interesting angle. That's like an affiliate system that you actually help the influencers do the nurturing and the education piece, you know. So there's that too, because that could be shared a lot. And that's how the sharing isn't just the coupon code, right? That it's like actually helping them educate their audience.
Because like most of our influencers are like dietitians or nutritionists. It's like you're giving them something really valuable and educational to give to their people and they didn't even have to do anything about it. And you're not asking them to sell anything.
To even buy anything yet.
Yeah.
Whoa, did we just come up with...
You can hide coupon codes as an Easter egg in there too. I mean, 100%. You can definitely like get imprint
if you listen to this show or episode, or put it, at the show notes. But you could hide it too. Yep.
And you've got lots of angles. I mean, sure, for people, for lots of conditions. I mean, I don't know if your stuff can also be given to dogs or animals. Like that's one of the biggest markets. Like people buy their pets. Like, I'm sorry, will that help my pet? Yep, great. We'll spend millions of dollars. So there's so many different angles that you can use to with that research that will help you target and slice and dice with different segments where, whether it's the parents who are trying to get their kids' brain health and brain function.
Beef liver was something that I saw recommended for eczema.
Someone's out there doing gummies right now and we're like, and it doesn't taste good. So we're trying to figure out we're trying to figure out the recipe because these capsules are big.
Yes. You have to take like 7 of them. So I did it on my own fertility journey. So I knew exactly what you were talking about.
Got it.
Yeah, they are. It's like 7 of them. And they taste a little crazy, but you just fucking do it because the baby.
It's a game though. I mean, I don't know if you guys know, but like I'm actually 50.
Are you joking?
No. I mean, yes.
She's not.
Yes, I'm 33.
Wait,
I'm 33. I'm 30. But in
Darren's 50. Whoa.
That's funny.
Oh, like, man, I gotta get more sleep at night. Like, if you're, that was a little, that makes you feel a little bit better.
Don't jump scare Nora like that. She's like,
it's hard enough getting old. Thanks.
No, I know. I lied.
That's funny. Okay, I want to ask that because this question that we always ask every one of our guests, especially with our case study episodes, if there was a private podcast with your life's musings, what would it be called?
Oh, I have one. It's called Stop Being Perfect.
Ooh,
nice. Very nice.
Well, it's actually not private. I thought about it though. Because I was going to talk all about like my divorce and everything. And I was like, oh, it shouldn't be public. So it might be Stop Being Perfect Uncut, would be the premise. Unsalted.
Yeah, unfiltered. There you go. Super
Nice.
good.
The explicit version, or that would just be mine. I feel like maybe the uncut usually means explicit for me, but that's
No, yeah, same.
I like it. Awesome. Well, thank you so much for being here and sharing everything you're doing with private podcasts. We'll definitely have to have you back if you end up launching, whether it's the ecom one or one of these other lead magnets. I mean, definitely want to keep in touch and know how that goes.
Yeah. It's a good idea. And my business partner will be all about it because she just like loves that stuff. So, well, I'll let you know how it goes.
Definitely. Keep us posted.
Thanks, guys.
Dani. Take care.
Bye.
And there you have it, audio heads. Another episode of Launch Your Private Podcast is in the books. I hope you're leaving today feeling even more ready to amplify your voice and connect with your audience in meaningful ways. The adventure continues in our next episode with even more insights, strategies, and inspiration to help you along your own private podcasting journey. Of course, make sure to check out helloaudio.fm to start your own private podcast. And remember, you've got amazing content that needs to be heard. So let's turn the volume up. Until next time.